Hey, what's going on, everybody? Dr. Brad here from Kids Eating Broccoli podcast. Dr. Ellisor, Trusted Health Advisor, drellisor.com. Today, I wanted to hop on briefly and talk about melatonin as a supplement. I posted earlier today an article that's been out in the media about melatonin and how maybe it's not the safest thing to give to your kids, to give to yourself. And I've gotten, a lot of interest and a lot of questions about it. So I thought I'd get on here on the video and talk to you about what are the problems with melatonin as a supplement and the 4 things you must know about it. So we're going to talk about the problem of melatonin. We're going to break it down into 4 topics or 4 things in particular. So number 1, melatonin is a powerful hormone made in your brain that, that's what we know now. Likely it's probably made in your gut too, but that's another story. And it's in balance with some other hormones like serotonin and so on and so forth. So melatonin, if you don't know, is the hormone that pushes our body into the sleep state. When we have proper melatonin balance, we start to feel sleepy, restful at nighttime, and then it encourages us to have a deep, restful sleep. So this is, been well known by medical science for a long time. And so when people have trouble sleeping, which has become an extremely common problem in our modern day, someone thought, well, why not give them more melatonin? Give them a tablet with melatonin or drops or whatever the case may be and help them sleep. But the way things work in our system is our body has this elegant and integrated and complex system to balance all of our neurochemicals, our neurohormones, and all of the balances of our body. And what can happen if we start giving or flooding too much of this powerful hormone into our system is that the cells that receive this hormone and cause for activity will start to downregulate the amount of receptor sites they have. This is one of the ways we have checks and balances in our system. When we have too much of something, rather than our body just having it react in a negative way, it'll start to downregulate, meaning create less and less of the receptor sites. So then you end up needing more. This is similar to what happens in insulin resistance diabetes, where because of dietary factors and other things, we have too much blood sugar going on, so our body produces too much or insulin on too regular a basis, and our cells start downregulating insulin receptors. So similar with that. So problem number 1 is it can create a negative feedback loop with our cell receptors, meaning that one big issue is that in the long run, this is likely going to diminish our own ability to make the right balances of melatonin. We become reliant on this exogenous melatonin, which is not what our body has made. So there's always some dysfunction or potential side effects of taking things in from the outside. Number 2, the long-term safety of melatonin supplements really has not been tested. And so we don't even know about this negative feedback situation or if toxicity will build up. And so in terms of giving that to ourselves on a regular basis, giving it to our kids on a long-term basis, it is very problematic to not know what the long-term outcomes are. Number 3, what we do know as far as side effects, increased insomnia, paradoxically, is one of the most common side effects of prolonged melatonin use. Now, this makes sense if you think about that negative feedback loop we were talking about before. The body downregulates the receptor sites on the cells so that, if you're taking the same dose of melatonin, it starts to not work. And then if you remove it, your body actually has too few of the receptor sites, and so even your own endogenous, meaning made by your body, melatonin doesn't have the same effect. So we see an increase in insomnia. We also have seen reported increase in seizure activity, and things like nightmare and night terrors increase with prolonged melatonin use, and also daytime agitation can be, and there's others too, but those are the most commonly reported side effects of prolonged melatonin use. And number 4, and I think maybe the most important, is that much like having a headache or having regular headaches and taking like Tylenol or Advil and thinking that's somehow solving the problem, so too is having regular insomnia or difficulty sleeping and then taking melatonin a way to solve the problem. It's like The analogy is, you're driving down the road and your little light comes on to tell you you're out of gas, and you take a piece of tape and stick it over that light so you don't see it anymore. That's essentially what you're doing, because there are issues at hand causing for the insomnia, causing for the difficulty to sleep, causing for the difficulty to get restful sleep, causing for the difficulty to stay asleep, whatever the case may be, whatever the reason that you're wanting to use the melatonin is likely, or is assuredly, as a result of some other issues going on. So if you just force your body to push through that artificially from the outside, taking this hormone to force you into sleep, you actually never end up addressing whatever those real issues are. And that can be a problem, because those issues that are causing for your insomnia, causing for your difficulty with whatever the sleep difficulties are, also are likely causing other challenges and difficulties and problems to your health. So you don't want to just ignore them and cover them up. That could be problematic. So one of the big ones is this concept of sleep hygiene. In our modern world, we have created such an artificial reality that we live in that it really disrupts our normal circadian rhythms, which part of which is the production of melatonin at the right time, in the right amount and right dosages. One huge one is artificial light. So if you think about before we had, modern day houses and electricity and all that stuff, at night, maybe you'd have candles or oil lamps or a fireplace or a fire pit if you're, going back even further. But you would not be bathed in this artificial light for so many hours of the day. You would, in the way the light interacts with our eyes and then our brain, it signals these transitions. So a tip on that is reduce your exposure to artificial light at night. Have dim lighting as much as you can. And then the big one with that is blue light. So blue light is emitted from every screen we own. Our cell phones, our laptops, our TVs, our video games, our Apple Watches, whatever the case may be, that emits a blue light. Blue light actually signals our brain to go into the awake state. So if you think about maybe yourself, maybe your kids, your spouse, people you know, how often and how much of after the sun goes down, they're staring at blue light and they're activating those awake centers in their brain, and then they flip their phone off, set it on the dresser, and try to roll over and go to sleep and wonder why they're staying awake. So the number one most important thing for sleep hygiene, because of the way we live our lives, is to be aware of artificial light and do what you can to mitigate it. Have dimmer lights, have orange-ish, reddish lights. Use candles in the evening, or those little battery-powered candles. Use blue blocking glasses. My wife and I always wear those in the evening if we're going to watch something or work on our computers or whatever, because it just helps keep your brain shifted towards sleepy time rather than being awake. So that's one. There's a bunch of other things in sleep hygiene which we'll get into in another video, but you want to keep these things in mind. Like, what are the things that can really help you resolve the problems that are causing the insomnia or the problems with the melatonin? And sleep hygiene is a huge one. And then just one other aspect or tip with that, nutritionally speaking, if we have some specific nutrients out of balance, we could even be doing good sleep hygiene, but our brain isn't able to have the precursors and raw materials to create the right melatonin. So the biggest one there is magnesium. And it's estimated, depending on who you talk to, 75% to 95% of us are magnesium deficient or insufficient. And there's a number of reasons for that. A big one is the loss of topsoil in our country, and so we're not getting our nutrition. We also have filtered, recycled water in city water systems, so we're not getting the mineral absorption through our skin. So magnesium supplementation can be a powerful thing to help with. And my recommendation is magnesium glycinate. There are a bunch of types of magnesium. As far as supplements go, I also think using Epsom salts and float tanks, which are full of Epsom salt, is a fabulous way to get it to even magnesium oils on the skin, because we're actually meant to absorb a lot of it. But dietarily speaking, magnesium supplementation is a good idea, because it's really difficult unless you can get your food from a very well cared for organic farm with soil, good soil, and all that kind of stuff. Very rare. So magnesium glycinate is what I recommend in terms of that. I want to invite you guys to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe if you're not watching, or if you're on the YouTube channel now, subscribe to that. But if you're on Facebook or wherever else you might be catching this, go to my YouTube channel and subscribe, because I put different videos and podcast episodes up on there. And I think you might gain a lot of value out of some of those videos and so forth. It's a good repository rather than just, Facebook. It goes through your feed and then it's gone. You can follow any direction you want in the YouTube channel. So you can find my YouTube channel in one of two ways. You can either look for, this is always backwards for me, Kids Eating Broccoli, if you search that on YouTube, or you search my name, Dr. Brad Ellisor, Trusted Health Advisor. I just actually shifted the name over to that. So either one will get you there, and subscribe and check it out, and leave some comments on any of the videos as long as you're nice. And so I appreciate you, and hopefully this answers some of those questions about the challenges and difficulties with melatonin. And you're welcome to comment below, ask any questions you might have. And in fact, let's see. I see I have one here. I wonder if I can look at that. Oh, hey Jim, how's it going? All right. Appreciate you, Jim. Thanks for tuning in. All right, you guys. We'll see you next time. Take care.